Hey guys, can you guys get me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yep, happy weekend. I think upon the requests on some people, I went ahead and set up like some boilerplate for like the data for the transport project. So hopefully that's going to be helpful. This session should be short. I think it should going to be so it's going to be like 30 minutes. So I just wanted to walk people through like maybe how it's like look into the data set or like the transport project or how to like approach it and yeah and probably like give you some boilerplate code. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen and we can dive straight in. Yeah, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can.
All right, sounds good. So, hopefully you guys have seen this. Else, I think it was shared earlier. But if you go to like the GitHub repository, you're going to see like I added like a bonus folder that has these data like that has like an introduction to like the Ghana transport data set, and I'm going to kind of like walk you guys through it. But I think the first thing is, as everyone knows, like there's a link to download it here. I think there are other similar data sets. It's not really like search, but there might be one or two data sets which you can use. And like I said, don't feel limited only to this data set. If you have a data set which you can use as a way to like test your project, it must not be Ghana, and you probably need to like state your reason. Probably like you have a very good data set that is not Ghana, but you just want to like demonstrate how your model or what you have built work on that data, you can definitely do that. But yeah, I think the Ghana data set is a good starting point. So you can download it from here. And here are just like I just when I was going through the data set, like the main thing is like when you're trying to like build something, you have to try to like it's true the first thing that usually comes is like you identify a problem, but now like I'm just trying to like okay, we know we have to build something in relationship to like Ghana transport, and we have like the get like the first data set. So you ideally want to really understand what this data set is made of. And yeah, just give me a second, let me move this to my other screen so I can have both. Yeah, you want to actually start by exploring the data set and really understanding what that data set has and what it doesn't have. So if you go ahead and download the data set, these are the core things you are going to see, and you just need to like explore it and see what you can achieve with this. So once you have the data set and you start even thinking of like you're thinking about the problem you're trying to solve, and you're also thinking about the type of data you need, you probably like use this to double check if the data set has all the data points or has all the information you need to actually like be what you're trying to build. These are just some few statistics from the data set. And yeah, so I went ahead and drafted a few things for like the overall workshop. So like this project has a lot of things. You might not really need to like explore everything, but I provided like some sample implementation. We're just going to like run like the minimal example, and I'm going to walk you guys through it. But yeah, basically you need to like explore the data, understand your data, and you always do this for like any project you're trying to do. We are going probably we should it's even worth maybe like try and look into the data now. Yep, just give me 1 second. Let's see, let me change the window. And yeah, I think you should be able to see my screen. Just yeah, I think it's better now. Yeah, so the data set, I downloaded it and I extracted it like into this folder. Like this is just like a sneak peek of like the different things in the data set, like the different information. As you can see, like the data set is made up of like the text, which is basically comma separated, so it's like a CSV file. So you can treat it as a CSV file. And yeah, I don't think there's anything major there, but we are going to be using PyTorch, pandas, numpy, matplotlib, like for like yeah, matplotlib, and we are going to be using Folium. So I know most of you might be familiar with all the rest, but Folium is actually what is going to permit us like build like interactive charts. So it's really cool. You can dive more into like Folium and how to use it, but I have like a bunch of code sample you can use for like yeah, this is it, yeah. So it's going to permit us to build like some interactive maps and then export it as probably like an HTML file which you can open with any browser. Um, so I think we can start looking into the data set. So the first thing, yeah, before we start diving into the data set, I'll just stop right there and see if there are any specific questions regarding what I'm trying to do, or just like any specific questions in terms of like, well, I guess I'm going to take like your questions later on in terms of like what you're trying to do, but I want to know if there's any specific question so far. Okay, are you guys following with like what I'm trying to do? Does it
Yes,
make
but I have a question about the data. Can we explore it a little bit
Yeah,
more?
sure, we're going to do that.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Godfrey.
So I just wanted to clarify on the data that you're saying that so even if you have Accra, you have Kumasi, and let's say you have some part of GTF data from Lagos, of which you can be able to work on it. You can be able to add it to your project and then explore with cities as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
It's
sir.
yes because like most of the times your data set might be limited, and I know this Ghana data set is just for 2015 if I'm not wrong, and it might just not be enough for you to like build your model. Even if you're training, you know that most of the time when you're training, it's like quantity and quality matters, so you need as much data as possible. So you kind of like it's true Ghana and Lagos is not obviously the same thing, but you can demonstrate that your dataset can work on Ghana dataset for this specific future. And then you can say that if we have more data, we can actually collect more for like Ghana. So it really just depends on what you're trying to do. But yeah, more
Okay, thank you.
data, you just try to like explain your reasoning and say we needed more data to like test that, okay, this model can work well with like the Ghana dataset. It can also work well with the Lagos dataset, which is very good because most of the time you want your model to be a generalist. It means like a model at the end of the day, you just want it to be able to like, if it has any unforeseen data input, you want to be able to like predict an output that makes sense. It's just like a human being. When they ask you to make a decision, you don't always know the answer, but you're able to like give an approximate answer, which is very close to what is true or correct. So yeah. So it's not always based on data you've seen. It can be like you can use the other data set just like stress test your model and see how it performs.
Okay,
Okay,
sir. Thank you very much.
yeah, sure. So for the project, if you cd or if you go into this, once you have cloned, why is it, yeah, okay, yeah, once you're in the repository and you get into the bonus one, you're going to see that we have like a few dependencies here which you need to install. PyTorch, I think you can, it's PyTorch was already installed in Workshop 3, so you can use the same virtual environment. I'm currently using the same virtual environment, so it should save you some time installing PyTorch again. But yeah, I think the main one is Folium, which you need to add. And yeah, you just need to like, first of all, you need to install the dependency using this command, which I think I listed somewhere here. Well, you can use this, but ideally you can use the let me see. Yeah, you can use this command. So like I said, I provided a lot of note here. You must not like read everything, but you should try to read what is in at least closer to like your data set. We're going to go through everything, but yeah, you install the dependencies and then you activate your virtual environment. I have already gone ahead and done that. So the next thing is I'm just going to like run this quick start, and we are going to like start going through. After the quick start, we'll run this data explorer, but the quick start kind of like runs. like all the code, like let's go through it, but it runs all the code in like so that different models, sub models that I've created. So like this runs the minimal versions of the code like everywhere, or like all the minimal versions of the code, just to make sure like you have all the files and everything is well set up. So yeah, when you run the quick start, it's going to log some statistics here, just like giving you like the overall statistics. And I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just like some summary of the data set. Yeah, same thing. You can have like this summary, like total number of agencies, route, and stuff like that. Just overall summaries. And there is one particular thing that is cool about this. Demand prediction. So this is just like running a minimal version of the demand prediction model, which is a model that tries to predict the demand of like transport services overall. And yeah, I think we'll go through that. I'm not going to like talk much like deep into it, but this starter or this quick start just like run most if not all of the parts of the code to make sure you have everything set up. So if you're not able to run this, then it means you probably have like an issue. And most importantly, it creates a map of the entire data set. So I'm going to run that now. So it has created a file called network overview.map.html. So if you come to your output folder, you have something here, dot network overview map HTML. So I'm going to run that. You just need a browser and you just need to open the HTML file. So let me do that. Yep. So I'll just click on it. It's currently loading. So yeah. So the data set, like each point on the data set, I have created a plot that permits me to visualize like all the routes, all the information on it, and each point is marked with like the ID, and it also has the longitude and latitude. So this was achieved with volume. So once you have like data that has to do with like space or surface area on the earth, you actually want to probably like have something like volume to be able to like visualize I think that's not zooming. Yeah, you probably want to have something like folio to actually spread out the data and really understand like the coverage of the data. What's wrong? I need to close this. I think, yeah, my browser is a bit slow. Just give me a second. My browser is acting slow. Yeah. So as you can see, this kind of like shows the entire spectrum of the data set. And currently this data set, as mentioned, it's only in Accra. So you can see like different like this, the red points at the terminals, blue points at the station, and then these are regular stops. So it gives you like a way of like seeing, I mean, like just understanding the data set and seeing how to go about it. And just looking at the way the information is spread on the map can give you better ideas. So that's the main thing from the starter file. Let's just skim through the quick starter to see if there's anything specific that we need to export. Like I said, import all of the modules in the project and just try to run like a quick basic statistics or basic run to make sure. I don't think there's anything specific that we need to go through. Yeah, I think that's basically it. So it just generates that map and we can visualize our data. So after we have visualized the data, so actually the visualization is from the data set explorer. So I think that's what we should look at next, data set explorer. Like I said, what permits us to build a map is volume. And basically what we are trying to do here is initially we try to load the data. So you have to make sure that you have downloaded the data into the folder called dataset. I feel like I did not define okay, the base part is defined. Yeah, but if you get an error, you fix it. Yeah. But yeah, you have to make sure you download the dataset and put it in this folder. This just try to load like the data set. Like I said, a .csv file is very similar to like a .text file. What is like peculiar about a CSV file is that it's just like CSV means comma separated. So for us to load this, we just need to use like pandas dot read CSV, and it's basically the same thing. We load that into like a data frame, and this is just like gets like overall like statistics of the data, like just counting the length of the agencies to know how many agencies are there. And let's see if there's anything transport agency analysis. This is like basically like calculating just overall statistics. Since you already have the data in a what's the name again? Pandas. Is it a data frame? I think that's the name again. I've forgotten. Yeah, what's this again? It's a data frame if I'm not wrong. But yeah, once you already have you have loaded the data into the data frame, or like the pandas, into pandas, and you have it like into your like data frame, you can now like run different analysis like mean, median, max, and whatever you want to, like you're interested in knowing about the data. So this is me just like trying, like this is when you grab a data set, you're trying to see what is in the data set, what are missing. You can also like try to like analyze the data set for missing values. I did not do that, but you can easily do that and check that with pandas. I wanted to check the data set. I think there are very few null values. I think so, yeah, something like this. So maybe you want to like check the data set and see which fields actually have null values. It can help you to know like if like there's some fields that are critical for your model or the model you're building, you need to like actually check like those fields. And what, yeah, think here we are just trying to like calculate different trips duration. Yeah, this is the main part of the of like this of this data set explorer. Once we have gotten all the data, we just try to like plot all the data points onto the map. And since for the data we have like the latitude and the longitude, that's what permits us to place the points on this map. So once we place a point on the map, we now give it a label. What's wrong? Seems like this has frozen. Let me refresh. It's taking some time. Yeah. Once you have like the latitude and longitude, you just probably like want to now add like some labels, like here, this is a station. It gives us the ID and the latitude and the longitude. And that's the main part about like I think this covers mostly about like exploring the data. But number one, if like overall, once you have a data set, you're trying to like really have a full understanding of how it is. This is transport, this is latitude and longitude. It means you can spread it out on the map and have an idea of like the distribution of the data. You can also use more like data analyst scientists usually like use like a couple of things you usually check in the data set, like the mean value, the average, all like how many null values are there. So these are just different things you usually check in the data set, like the number of agencies, the total number of agencies. And if the data set is obviously not like something with latitude and longitude you can spread on the map, you probably want to do something, for example, something else. For example, for workshop 2, which was like the data set was like images and text, we literally just had to like explore the images, like look through them. If you saw, like there was one of the on the notebook, like there was a cell where we actually like tried to like display the content. Yeah, this cell. So this is an image. Like there's no way you're going to plot an image on a map. So that's why, like, depending on your data set, you want to like try to visualize it in a way that is going to make sense for you and make sure you understand it very well. So that's mostly it about like data exploration and how to probably like approach your data set and everything. And yeah, I'll pause there and see if there's any question about like once you grab a data set, what do you do with it, like the initial steps, and yeah, see, and if there's any specific question on anything you're trying to understand or sometimes not explained well. Yeah, Gamma, if Richard, sorry, yeah,
Yeah, gamma is okay. Okay, so I think there is one of the data set. I think the trip data. I don't know if
yeah.
I get that. Yeah. I think the if you check there's is it start time? I have actually forgotten. Is it trips
This is
or
three.
it there is one that has the start time. I think start time and then the end time.
I think that is the, let me see, it's not that. It's
Like
not
the
this.
about
Stop ID.
yeah, arrival time and then yeah, no, the one that yes.
Okay, this one.
Yes, arrival time and then departure time. I
Yeah.
wanted to explore that data set, like to use it to in one of the analysis that I wanted to do. But if you check the start time and then the arrival time are the same. So I was like, because honestly, I wanted to make use of those two columns
You said
for
the
some of the
start time and the arrival time are the same.
yeah, they're the
Oh,
same. So check
I guess
the
this is
same.
just like, see, for example, this is just wait for everything.
Yeah, all of them. All
Oh,
of them.
I did not notice. Let me give like
Honestly,
sometimes. Let's see.
so the start time and
Um,
the arrival time, all of them are the same. Because honestly, I wanted to make use of those two things to be able to do some other analysis, and then even for the route optimization, but
I
they are the same. So I was like, oh wow.
um, I think there's something we are missing here.
It it's all in a data set. It just I don't know. They are the same thing. They are the same values.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand something. I'm not sure why would they be the same. Hmm. I see what you mean, but it might just be, let's see. Yeah, I am not sure why that's it's in what file that is it route or is it stop times?
Yeah, it's the
Stop
stop times.
time. I think it makes sense. It means the time it was supposed to wait. This is the arrival time. This is the departure. Let's just check this again. Um, it's this is stop times. Let's see. Stop times, arrival times at bus stops during the data collection. I think it makes sense for it to be the same. Or am I wrong? Arrival time, departure time. Let's just go through this. Because from my understanding, that's when they expected the bus to arrive. That's when the bus stopped. So it came, it stopped, they collected the data, and then it left. Do you see what I mean? Richard, do you see what I mean? Do you understand what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Getting
I think that's how the data set is constructed because, like, if you see here, I might be wrong, but you just need to double check and read the data. So, arrival time at bus stops during data collection. So it means that's when the bus arrives and that's when it departs. So, there's another information here. Trips. Let's see. There's something else. This is not it. This is stops. That's for distance, stop times, shapes. This is still for distance. Yeah, currency, blah blah blah. I don't think we have anything that really accounts for like this time when the bus departed and when the bus um might be wrong, but that's what I think to my understanding. And to my understanding, this is when the data, like when the bus stopped and when it left. So, but then is it supposed to be perfect, like always the same? Yeah, seems
yeah.
like
So my thinking was that like if you should be able to know I the time that a bus should leave a particular station and then to arrive at another station. That could be a, an interesting feature for us to be able to do the route optimization. Because
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah. So I was just thinking, maybe I'm just thinking out loud though. Yeah, I was just thinking if we have something like that, it could also be of importance. Yeah.
Yeah. We are going to explore this later on, but the way, like I did it differently. Like, well, I'll briefly go through like the route optimizer the initial one I made, and we can look into it. But I don't think like we have any information on that. And my guess is this at the time the bus stopped or and left. I think Godfried had raised a hand. Yeah,
Yeah, it was relating to the same issue.
yeah,
And I think the more reason why the data set doesn't have the time the bus is leaving the station to the destination is because that information is quite uncertain. And I think if that has to happen, that means that you need to recollect the data again, probably maybe through crowdsourcing, because we are currently also doing that, whereby um, looking at people contributing to our data, and then we have another app aside our main app where they can be able to start a trip. So when they are starting the trip at the treasure station, they start it and then they record the trip for us. And then it
yeah,
gets to the other end. And then you'll be able to learn the time stops, how long it took the person, and all the other ones from that data. But I think the data set originally doesn't have the time that the bus comes to stop because it's
yeah.
the bus is not like computerized yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this is actually like a problem, like a shortcoming of like this data set, which your solution might figure out how to address this. So just like answer Richard's question, like if you have something that is really really good that depends on like the start data, the start time and the end time, and you probably cannot get any data set with that, you can try and make out some values as long as it's going to like I said, if your system is mainly dependent on that, you can try to make out some values as long as that's one of the key features of your system, and then you clearly say that okay, these values were made out, but these are steps on how we are going to like collect like those values. So like I said, yeah, there's not really like any time point about like yeah, really about when the bus took off and when it arrived. So and also just like talking adding to what yeah, I think it's Godfrey mentioned, yeah, you can always think of ways like make this better. Like this is a very huge shortcoming. I did not really notice that. I did not really use this for like my trade like route optimizer, which we are going to go through it. But yeah, this can be like a way of like start thinking about like, oh, maybe your project the focus is like on like tracking arrival time, and with that, like you can try to like build your own data set, come up with a methodology that is going to make it easy and difficult. I'm sorry, easy to like build your own data set and try to find out why they did not collect the start and the end time. Because when you identify why, you can say, oh, the previous people could not because of this, and this is how we are improving our solution to make it better. So I is there any other question or someone would like to add something before we move on? Okay, if there, yeah, the recording will be available. Yeah, so just I think we can now dive into like the route optimizer, and we are going to like try to like go through what I drafted. But the key, what I'm trying to do is like you're trying to find patterns between like the movement of the buses, and then trying to figure out how to like optimize that. So let's run this and go through the code and see what it can give us. Um, so while that is running, we can go through the route optimizer. I think I really did not, yeah, I might have missed that, but yeah, route optimizer. I don't know if I need to go through all these, but general route optimizer, this is the main thing. I have the routes. I just open this to this side. So we have the data sets I'm using for this includes the route. Yep. The stops. After that, stop time, which I think I might have made a mistake here, but we'll see that. We have the trips and we have the agencies. So yeah, we prepare the route futures. We try to like extract information like the route ID, the route type, the number of trips, the number of stops, the average stop sequence, and yeah, average stop sequence, max stop sequence, and longitude and latitude. That's the main thing I'm trying to optimize here. Feature collection. Yep, I did not use any time. Yeah, I like I said, yeah, I did not use any time. I actually did not notice that that this time here were identical, but luckily I did not really like use that. But basically, what I'm trying to optimize here is how where can I show this to be a bit clear? Optimize stop clustering and blah blah blah. Yeah. Yep, let me just see. We are going to open that map and I'm going to try to explain what I'm doing here. Yep, train, we stop the cluster and yeah, we suggest improvement, generate optimization report. Let me just try to like explain what, let's open the result and then I'll try to explain what is being done here. Where is that file? Where is it? I think it's something optimization. Okay, yeah, it's this. So I've run that. So this is the route optimizer, and I'm going to like give an overview of what I'm trying to do here. So yeah, let's just see. And yeah, where is that date? Yeah, this is what I need. Optimize stops maps. Optimize stop maps. Yeah. And there are two models that I have here. There's one model that is being trained to predict, like to understand like we extract all the information for the different routes, the movement, and the movement, the way we kind of like map it on the map is using the longitude and latitude between the different locations. So once we kind of like plot that on the map, we try to like train a model to understand like those movements and to really try to like understand if those movements are efficient. And then next we try to use like clustering to kind of like, let's say clustering. I don't know if you guys are familiar with clustering algorithm, but clustering is a way of like bringing clustering. Let's just see, meaning, yeah, to cluster, form a cluster, like to form a cluster or clustering means like we have different, like we have, let's say we have a lot of data. Let me just show this diagram. So as you can see here, oh, I zoomed in too much. As you can see on this map, we have a lot of like information and a lot of movement between different agencies. And if you check this analysis, you're going to see that there are some movements that are not really worth it. So, for example, this is an improvement. So, 100 like 170 107 routes could be consolidated, which means you have a lot of movement between cars, between different cars and agencies. And the problem with that is, let's say if you have a move like a trip that leaves, I really don't know Ghana to be like giving like specific names. But let's say if you have a trip that moves from point A to point B, and there's another trip that probably leaves from point in between point A and B, there's probably in the middle, there's probably a point that is point C. So you have one trip that leads from point A to B, and you have another trip that leads from point A to C. You're going to see that in between that, you could have that as a single trip, which is going to permit you to like save costs on like the two vehicles and different like potential issues, or just like trying to like bring them, because here we are trying to identify different trips that could share the same pattern. And once we bring out like those trips um that we can share different patterns, it means we can now think of like, okay, these trips that share the same pattern, what can we do to like cut down costs? Maybe agency A and agency B handle like those different trips. Maybe they could form a merger. And this is the type of information you can have. Like, I don't know if your app or whatever you're building can be like an overall understanding of like the transport system in Ghana, or where the person is living. Now, if the agency operators between agency A and B, they actually view that, oh, we have like a lot of like trips that are in common with this other agency, and they calculate the different costs between those different agencies, and you're going to see that at the end of the day, if they come together, they're going to like spend less and ideally make the same amount of money. So it makes sense for them to like have the understanding and say, oh yeah, we should probably like join these guys. And if you see, one of the key understanding that we got from like just trying to like create this clustering and comparing like the different trips we have on the data set is 39 agencies operate very few routes. So like if you have multiple agencies that operate on very little routes, it's, if you want to think of it on like a global scheme or a global scheme, you're going to start that make that like it's a lot of investment for not too much profit. What I'm trying to say is that if those little like agencies could like expand and occupy like a larger surface, maybe like provide routing, or like provide transport for a larger geographical area, they are going to spend less. It's true, like the geographical area is bigger, but if they kind of like partner with other agencies, let's say instead of having like 100 agencies that take you from like different points under a short geographical area, you can now have like a centralized, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 agencies that actually cover a larger spectrum. And these are some insights that can be really helpful for like the government, or like different city planners, or like it, because as long as you can cut down that cost and maybe like increase the reach of like these agencies, it can save some money or save like some costs, even to the environment, like a lot more less more cars, and occupying like a larger geographical area, so more people can travel like a longer distance. I don't know how it is in Ghana if you have a lot of stops, but yeah, there are a couple of things you can do here. Like there are a lot of things, really it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. But the two main things I try to do here is, like I said, I try to like plot the different distances, using like the different distances or the different points, using the latitude and the longitude. Then now I try to group all the points that were similar. So for example, this is cluster 5. This should also, cluster 5 and cluster 43 are kind of similar. I'm trying to look for, this is cluster 0. Trying to look for a similar, I'm not even sure how I can, that's cluster 9. Think I might have seen something like cluster 9 somewhere. Yeah, cluster 9. This is cluster 9. I saw cluster 9 somewhere. But yeah, it tries to like group similar trips under like that different. There are other ways of like of visualizing a clustering map or something like that. So after you get this data, you can try to like create like a clustering map that kind of like circle or like show like different spots with a large amount of cluster, with a large amount of similar trips. And yeah, there are a lot of other things you can do, but what I was trying here is just like give you guys an idea, or like a very basic example. Like I said, I have very little understanding of how Ghana works. So I might have a lot of assumptions here that do not make a lot of sense. But that's it. Like once you're building something for like a specific area, you need now to like really understand the different pick like the what you like you have a better understanding of Ghana and you know how things move there, so you can create more better assumptions. But with this, you have like a very rough example on how to like create a model that tracks the route, and you can figure out how to like find similar routes with the clustering algorithm. And this is just like a class that calls both of them and tries to like give you the output statistics of everything. But yeah, I'll stop there and see if there's any specific question, anything I did not explain very well, or anything specific you want me to go over. And yeah, I can do that. I think from 1 to 5, how much are you understanding? Is it making sense? Is this helpful? Or yeah, or am I explaining very well? We're having some issues with something. I'm looking for where I created. Yeah, this is the optimization. Yeah. These are the colors for the clusters, and yep, I formed them. Yep, these are the colors. So the clusters might, yeah, I think some clusters might be off a little bit, but should be fine. Yeah. So any question, comment, addition? Is it actually
Yeah, yes,
helpful?
sir.
Yeah, go
I have
ahead.
a question.
Yeah,
My question is concerning the agency data. I think the
yeah,
agency data is quite very inaccurate in a
yeah,
sense that the agency data, the agency say in Ghana is like the GPRT, the Pro Tour, and other ones. But here in the data sets, it is rather renaming it more like different stations. So some of the stations, they also end up as agencies. So like, let's say the GPRTU, the whole of Accra, they have
yeah,
subset stations that they have that also operate as original GPRTU head. So I think that's what they brought here. And then they have duplicated the agency. So you can have like GPRTU about 5 times or 6 times in this data, but yes,
yeah.
still it's still one agency. And the same
Oh,
as for the Pro Tour and other one. So I think we have to probably reorganize that data, make it that okay, maybe if it's GPRTU Ablekuma, it's all fall under GPRTU. If it's
yeah,
GPRTU Circle, it all fall under GPRTU. Yeah, because this one, I think they registered it for the subheads of the agencies.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I think if you do that, then I think this number is going to reduce. This, yeah,
Yes,
it
yes, yes.
shows,
It's going to
yeah,
reduce. That's why I think
yeah,
that's why 39 trips, 39 of them does not really have a lot of good trips because it's more like redundancy from the same.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
yeah, that makes sense. And I think to add on that, I think this data set is 2015. Let me just double check. It's 2015, right?
It's
Yeah,
2020, I think so.
yeah, 2015. So like
Okay.
another thing is like you can use this data set. Oh, okay, this last updated in 2020. Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Another thing is like I think we are coming up and seeing like the shortcoming of this data set. It might be some things are redundant or like maybe does not make much sense. That's why one of the very key, like the main thing, like what usually breaks or make an AI system is the data. As long as you have good, well-structured data, trust me, your system, at least even if the AI algorithm you're using are not like that state of the art, like open AI, as long as you have good data, you can have like awesome results. So this is just me trying to say that okay, this data set can be just be like a starting point for you to like use it to generate your own data set, because you cannot have like the time to like actually generate like a full-blown data set or to collect it, where you can propose a methodology and also mention how you use to like create your own data set, because you might be creating something that this data set does not provide. So you want to realistically try to like generate some data in if you need it, and then explain how you can collect that data in future and why you even generated it, and really show that you have probably like come up with a data set structure, because like in your system you probably need to like figure a way of like you're going to be continuously collect data. So you come out with like a methodology on how you're going to be collecting the data. It might, this data set can just be like a reference to give you an idea, then you can come up with your own data set showing how you generated the data, showing how you're going to eventually collect the data, and how your model kind of like work on that. And then once you have that, then maybe you can search online for a data set. It might not be Africa, it might be something else, another data set that is kind of similar to what you've built. And then you use that to test your model just to see by how off that data set your data is, just to like have an idea. But it's true that the Ghana data set is going to be different. But yeah, there's no right or wrong answer. You just really need to like really think hard about your data set, how you're going to structure it, and how you're going to like use it. So yeah. Um and that's mostly it. I think I'll briefly just go through like the rest of the code, and we, like I said, I need to run very soon. But yeah, so we have gone through like the dataset explorer. You can see the way like I'm plotting the graph here. Like I said, there are some assumptions that I did that obviously I'm not in Ghana, so I don't really understand like the landscape. You have the demand predictor, which I'm just trying to like predict like the different hours of the day. I think I plotted something, demand analysis. So I'm just trying to like predict at what time the bus or the like the agency should be highly available. So like these are some graphs I plotted from it. You can run the code and see how I do it, but basically it's just trying to like predict the peak hours. And if you can have continuous data of this, you can actually be able to like predict when do people actually need like more rides. It could be like every early in the morning, late at night, and yeah, there are a lot of things you can do here. So here it was a simple prediction model. There's several ways you can do this. This is just one of them. So probably I don't think this is like the core thing is just like how can you load the data and predict different values. So you can use this as a starting point on how I did it. Else you can try to like create yours. We have already gone through the route optimizer and then visualization. So visualization is just like the different graphs I created. So this permitted to like this is the core thing that actually like creates that map and add all the points. So you can see the way I load the data here and I create the map. And yeah, just some like basic analysis like the mean. I don't think there's any need going to like mean, max, or like average there. But yeah, you can go through the code and see how I approach some of these things. But I want to close it out by just giving like a couple of like sample problems and how you can solve it. So we already talked about the route optimization. You can solve it with a model that actually you train a model to understand the different tracks, and then you can also use some clustering algorithm to like bring more different things that are similar in your data set and try to figure out what that means. And once you figure out what that means, then you try to like, I don't know, build something that can overcome that challenge. Just like Gottfried said, this was a very raw over exaggeration from my side, because I did not really understand the data set, and I did not understand that it's true the data set has like these agencies listed under different umbrellas, but at the end of the day, they are the same um, agencies. Let me just do a count of this. How many is here? 45. Okay, maybe this is totally wrong then. We have 39, but yeah. So like this is just like I think yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So where was I? Yeah, I was just trying to show that like this was a very raw it's like over exaggeration from my side, because I think what I want to do before doing that is I want to like group everything that is under GPRTU. Then I run my analysis and see if I'll get like the same. Obviously, I'll not get the same thing, but yeah, I'll see what was the overall statistics and like the different routes that can be consolidated, and if there are agencies that operate on two short routes. I think demand prediction is just like it's usually about like time series, like trying to understand the different time of the day where people order. And if you have like a very long time series, You just need like any very simple prediction model to like be able to predict like when somebody is when is the highest time people can order. And then what you can do now is like you can try to incorporate weather. I think there's a way to map. I don't know. We have the time of the day. We have the time, but do we have the date? I really don't. I don't think we have the dates, but you can um there's some approximations you can do, but there might be interesting ways of like incorporating like time weather data, so you can pull weather data of like 2020 and try to figure out how you can join it and see like if you have a time series over like let's say a few months, and then you see like it could be evening, but when it's raining, maybe people don't step out that much, and really just try to understand like your data set and what is happening. Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, I think you just stated what something that was also in my mind, because just like what you said, we don't really have any data points about the dates and then the time, because even the time we have is just the arrival time. That doesn't even give us any information about like the um just like this what the statement I just made earlier. So honestly, the data set is really not that much, and I was trying to find other data sets to probably be augment with it, but most of them are not that much concerned with what we intend doing here. Yeah, so maybe we just keep looking. Yeah, so
Yeah. Um and at the end of the day, right? Yeah, I understand the data set is important, but at some point you need to move forward. That's what I said. You can try to like create your own data. You must not like search for data from Ghana. You can say, okay, we took like this data in Paris, and then we tried to like maybe modify it a little bit so that we can actually use a model on it to show that how it works, like to show the system. Because without it, it's true the data set makes everything, but then your system on its own, it's like it's how the way you put everything together and what it does. So at the end of the day, if you can demonstrate what your system does, yeah, and then you clearly explain that the data set was not enough. We went this route. We probably grabbed this data set from Paris, and then we tried to maybe like incorporate like weather, and then incorporate some time, like try to maybe tweak it to Ghana by even using like this data set, like trying to match, like I don't know, you can there are some assumptions you can do. And then now, since you're creating like a fictive data set, you definitely need to like your system or like your entire presentation or whatever you're submitting needs to clearly say how you intend to like collect the data. It should be something that is cost effective, not something that is going to take you maybe, I don't know, more than 5 years or more than 4 years, but it should be something that is effective and time efficient in terms of like the output you need to get. So don't, that's why I said don't feel free, like don't get stuck on this that you need to only use this, but you can use other data set. You can use, I don't know, Africa, I don't know, even I don't know, there are a lot of things here. I'm sure that there are a lot of trip or car route data set. So that's what you can do. If you don't find this, you can look for another city and clearly state that this is it. A model is able to like score this amount of percent or accuracy on a data set here. So once we collect the data in Ghana using this method we have outlined, which is cost efficient and time efficient, then we can use that to train a model and come up with like and do what our system does for Ghana. Yep. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know if there's like any specific thing in the code or like you guys want me to explain. But what I just tried is, I think like I said, the most important thing here is just like the data explorer and the visualization, how I actually extracted the data and plot them. These other things are very subjective. It's really based on your understanding of the data set and your project. That's why I came up with some few examples here, 1, 2, and 3, which you can use that with a grain of salt, like just like a starting point. And yeah, if you have any specific questions about like this model or how I'm using them, you can always like try to ask now or later on. But with that said, I think that's it for today. If there are any, I'm open to like take any final questions. So yeah, Regina, go ahead.
Yeah, I was hoping that we'll get a recording after the session.
Yeah, you get the recording.
Okay, where will we get it?
We are going to share the same way we share the other recordings.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Any other question? Okay, then I think we can stop there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So, please, my question is, so I have two questions. My question is, so we are doing all this on the background and with the backend and everything. So, is it compulsory to, let's say, you have to use maps to probably, you see, in the final hackathon, we are supposed to present a mobile app or a web app. So, let's say I have a way of probably providing my solution, maybe just in test or other things. Is it compulsory probably to use maps in this solution? Because like the credit that we have, let's say probably it won't be enough for using maps or something. And that's my first question. My second question is, personally, we have added other data to our solutions, right? And then my issue is about deploying it and making it go live. So can you be able to probably send you the project what we have done so far, and then you help us deploy it, and then other people can also use some of our data sets that we have collected so far.
So first question, regarding present with maps, I don't know. Like it really depends. Like if your project is going to be, if the jury or if anyone is going to be more wowed by seeing your project on a map, then yeah, you could. But now it depends on like the technical implementation. At the end of the day, it's not like you must build like a mobile app or a web app, but you have to build something that shows like that somebody non-technical can actually push a button and get a result. That's the main thing. So creating a map could be complex, but you can, like, this is the way I'm going to approach it. Like, is creating a map really essential, or is it something that is going to wow the jury? If yes, then you figure out how to do it. If you run out of time, personally, if I'm the one, if I'm doing the project, I'll try to get the map if it's essential for my app, or to like if I show how the data is being pulled and shown on the map, and people are like, wow, this is really good. That's like my implementation, and probably like that's one of the key features of my app. Then the next thing is, if I'm not able to like get the map, I'm going to show the progress I did to get the map and show a sample result. So for example, you can see my screen. Let's say, assuming that this is, that's taking, why not? Okay, yeah. Assuming this is the end map, right? I must not have this generated like in the mobile. Let's say I want to embed this in the mobile app, but I don't have this enough time to actually embed this in the mobile app. And maybe I made so much progress just to like pull the data into the API, and what is left is just for the front end of the mobile app to actually pull that data and display it on the mobile app. So if I'm the one presenting, I will show the progress. I will say that at the end of the day, this is what the user is going to see on their mobile phone or on the web app. But we were not able to like integrate that due to time constraint. But this is the progress we made. We were able to like have an API that returned that data, and the only thing left was to build the interactive map. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, Godfrey, hopefully that makes sense. I wanted to ask again, what was your second question? Can you get me? If seems like Godfrey has some issues. I know Angela had the question. Can you go ahead while waiting for Godfrey?
Yes, I posted a link to a list of GTFX data, which some of them are updated, up to date. So if somebody is looking for very current GTFX data, the person can use it. And the other question is just a follow up on your answer to Geoffrey's question. How completed should the project be? Because training models, getting data, getting the best data, working with teams can take a lot of time. Is it that we have the whole project from backend API model is trained and tested, and then this is the front end result? Or could it be like an MVP where certain information is not already available, and that could be okay? And how much would that affect the overall score of someone?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and everybody's going to ask that. Let's do this. Like I said, being complete is a good thing, but we understand like let me answer it this way. Let me see. Just give me 1 second. Where is that? I think there's judging criteria somewhere. Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
okay. Yeah, Angela, to answer your question, there is no right or wrong answer, because somebody that actually goes ahead and implement everything, that's going to wow better, because somebody can grab it in their hand and probably see it and kind of like and feel it. I think this question is really subjective. It really depends on your team. At the end of the day, what you should try to have is something that somebody can actually interact with without being a like that. I think that's a really huge requirement. If you can have something that somebody that does not know how to run code can just come and push a button and it works, that's perfect. Like that's really what we want. And then once you have that and you were not able to like build the UI and stuff like that, you should give now a rundown of like what are the next steps for like building the API or building the route or like the front end. So you can say, oh, we have this model. This is the way we are going to deploy it, probably like with fast API. And then we just need now a mobile app to fetch the detail. But that's why I showed like that's why we talked about like other tools like Gradio, because if you have a model or you have some, it really like it's so subjective on like what you're trying to do. So graduate, something like graduate is really when you're trying to show like the efficiency of a model. So you get the input of the model and you give it an output so that somebody can gauge how good your model is. I can come upload an image and see the output. Now that is fine when you know that your model, like what your model like is really good at, is really the best, I don't know, image predictor model ever, and you can judge by giving the what the accuracy. But then now you're really focused on like building solution for Ghana, or like that can be used in Ghana, and most of this type of solution is like what can you provide to users or to the government or it's like the Ghana community that can make them easily use this thing. And you need to like start with like your problem and identify a really good problem. Like let's say if your problem is like building a new data set, transport data set for Ghana, you need to think of an efficient way to like build a data set. One way could be like you can show like it has a mobile app that somebody can easily just like record the stats of like where and of a trip. Or if you don't have somebody that can build a mobile app, you can just go with the web app. Like I know website building, I don't know, for the most part is it's bit more common. You can go with the website. But if your project aims at showing how to collect the data set and you are just showing it, I don't know, from a Jupyter notebook, it does not really make sense, because what your the uniqueness of your project is to actually show the flow of how you're going to collect data and to show a very minimal version of it. But then if you're showing just like a Jupyter notebook, it does not make sense. So like it really depends on like your team and what you can output. So if you have like you need to like gauge like the skill level of your team members, and then you need to know realistically what can be done, can be achieved, and you focus on like what you can achieve to show like a very minimal demonstration of your project. Your project might not even require you like training a model. For example, in the part of like you're collecting data, like you're trying to build a data set for Ghana, there's no need for you to like go ahead and train a model or something like, because the goal is like make it simple to create like an up-to-date data set for Ghana. So once you have that data set, you can upload it and whoever can deploy it. So there's no need for you to spend time trying to train model, but you need to be thinking about like how can you make, like you need to probably like look at the Ghana data set that was provided and see, okay, what are the shortcomings of this data set? How can my model, or how can a new data set be better? We should include the start time of the trip, the end time of the trip. Why did they not include it? You should try to have like a real answer for that, and you should just try to like improve on that. So it's subjective for your team and what you're building. But at the end of the day, try to show that key unique feature of your system in such a way that I can just come and I push a button and I can see a result. At least even if it's just one button, it could be a web app. You must not create a mobile app. At the end of the day, we just want to see something that somebody can come, push a button, and see something happen. It could be gradual. I think I've forgotten the other one, but yeah, I think if you watch one of the recordings, it's there. It could be whatsoever, as long as you can figure out how to like present the information.
Yeah, I see. It's specific to what you want to do and how impactful it is. So it doesn't really matter if
Yeah,
like you train your own model or anything like that.
yeah, these are more like I next week we are going to try to have like office hours where I know like everybody is working on their own sacred project and they don't want to like share it. Yeah. So next week we are going to have like office hours. I think like everyone will be able to like book for like 10 minutes and then you can share your idea, tell me exactly what you're working on, and I can help you answer the question on what you should present or what you like depending on where you are.
The office hours will be very helpful. Thanks you.
Yep. Yeah, and thanks for this. I have just added it here, updated transport data set. Yeah, is there anything else? All right, then I think we can call it a day. Yeah, okay. Thanks for joining and have a very good weekend. Talk to you later on. We'll try to send information about like the office hours because I know some people are having like some questions that are very specific to their project. So yeah, thank you. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
This you can. Oh, I've not stopped the recording.